I just woke up. Excuse me for looking crazy, but I have to talk about the one thing that they don't want you to know that could save millions of lives in this country and around the world. It's self accountability. They hate it. They don't want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start with the cop. Self accountability. Where was the police force? Where was the attorney general? Where was the mayor or whoever can do something about this when you have multiple offenses? Why was that cop there? It just so happens that they're all Democrats. Of course, they're going to blame everybody else, but whatever. Politics aside, self-accountability. Why can't you get rid of every bad cop? People don't want to snitch on their own. People don't want to get rid of their own. And also, things like unions and affirmative action type stuff, not for him, but for others, they make it really hard to fire people now. You can't just fire a police officer or a teacher if they do something bad. They have unions to protect them, and there's all sort of social justice rules for other people. LGBT, women, God forbid they don't do their job, they could turn around and sue you and get $100,000 even though they were a bad employee. So it all starts with self-accountability. Now let's go to this viral video that's going around. It was an elderly white guy who walked into the riot police, and the police pushed him down and he cracked his head. It's horrible. God bless that guy's soul. You never want to see somebody's head get cracked open, obviously. But once again, self-accountability. If you got hundreds or dozens of riot police running towards you and they're pushing everybody back and there's nobody for 50 feet because everybody knows they've already pushed you back and there's going to be consequences for you walking towards riot police who are jogging or walking, that's self-accountability. I don't agree with what happened to the guy, but you don't know as a human being that you're walking towards riot police, something bad might happen. It's like everybody, even conservatives now, are making excuses for the guy. Oh my God, I want points from the social justice warriors. Look how not racist I am. This guy got, it's like, no, the guy shouldn't have got hit. But I mean, at the same time, self-accountability. Where's this? He knew what he was going for. And a lot of these people who are getting arrested, not all of them, if they're not looting and burning, is people staying past curfew and they want to, Jake Paul or, what's his name? Cole Sprouse, like, oh, look how not racist I am. I got arrested. It's all self-accountability. Now that I've showed you the cop and I've showed you the white protester, let's be honest in general. With the marches and the protests, I like a good peaceful protest. I think most people are peaceful. But if you're marching and blocking the streets like many of them are doing in multiple parts of the city, it's not just peace, love, positivity, and we're helping the community. You're shutting down businesses. You're putting hospitals and children's hospitals on lockdown because you're shutting everything down. I mean, you're marching through the streets. There's an hour worth of traffic. People can't go to work. You're talking about nurses, doctors, family, the same ethnicities that you claim to stand up for can't go feed their families or go to work because you're in the way. So that's self-accountability too. You want to make a scene, you want to make a change, that's fine, but know what you're doing. You're hurting people as you're doing it. And then they try to make an excuse and say they don't see all the negative effects of it, like it's not happening. Like, we're peaceful. Yeah, but also you could look at Santa Monica, you could look at Minneapolis, New York City. There's also many, many problems that the media is covering up. It's all self-accountability there too, for the police officers, for the white protesters, for all ethnic protesters, and even in certain communities. You see these people every 4 years, 2016, 2020, you see a massive surge in Black Lives Matter, around election season. And everybody claims that they care about black lives, but they ignore 99.9% of avoidable black deaths, focus on 0.01%, if that, of black lives, and then scream at you if you talk about the 99.9%. If you really care about your people or you really care about Americans in all communities, let's talk about health. We got heart disease, diabetes, these type of avoidable illnesses are hurting millions of people a year. It's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. So if you care about all lives, let's get our people some good diet, some good exercise, some good supplements, some good regimens that will get them vitamin D when they're, in need, especially in this COVID-19 crisis. Nobody talked about that. I'm not saying it's the cure, but obviously the effects of it, they're trying to cover it up and delete my videos on YouTube. I mean, it's not the be-all end-all, but vitamins and a healthy regimen is obviously healthy. They don't want you to tell you that. And they also don't want you to tell when it comes to crime and murder, you could just look at the crime statistics. It's not going to be popular. People are going to hate it. But just like I said, I wanted self-accountability for the cop. Just like I said, I wanted self-accountability for the white protester. Just like I want self-accountability for the bankers, the people who run the media, the politicians, and all these elites who really can do pretty much anything and never get charged and get away with it because they're wealthy and connected. I want accountability for the Black Lives Matter crew, where if you look at black murder, most of it is black on black crime. If you look at most white murder, it's mostly white on white crime. That's just a fact. But this idea that you're allowed to get mad every 4 years, ignore 99.9% of the crime and the situations going on in your community because it feels good and you think getting rid of conservatives, white Americans or whatever you think, getting rid of the police, disbanding the police, defunding them, you think that's going to create a utopian society? It's only in corporate media that's telling you that. And it's like these people are like, I'm anti-corporation. It's like, no, 99.9% of corporations are on your side. Find me 5 of them that aren't doing this stuff, guys. So there is no, oh, I'm going to lose my job if I say this. No, you're going to get a new job if you say it. You're going to lose your job if you say what I say and try to stand up to these people and say what is probably the most important thing that could save millions of lives around the world that they don't want to teach people. This is self-accountability. And I'm not talking about just the streets or just certain ethnicities or just lower and middle class people. I'm talking about the elites, self-accountability. I'm talking about the politicians. They don't have it, self-accountability. I'm talking about the police, self-accountability, the mayors. If we all had it, life would be better. But there's this new weird victim culture going on where it's like, hey, if you walk into riot police and fall down, you're a victim. They're telling kids, go do this, go do that. And a lot of these people are of the liberal mind. You trying to kill them? You trying to end them up in jail? They say it's okay. They're trying to justify people looting and burning stuff, literally justifying it. I've had multiple people do that. Meanwhile, if you're a neurosurgeon and you work for the President of the United States, all of a sudden you're the enemy of the United States. What does that tell you? What do they want you to do? If they'll justify you burning a building with no message and really no vision, but you can't be a neurosurgeon and one of the most successful people, to split apart conjoined twins just because you have the wrong politics, they want you to stay in the gutter. They want you to stay down. And this goes for everybody. They're spreading it out amongst all cultures. And once again, if you study Libya and Syria, I have other videos on it, you can see destabilization, how they did it. Protests turned into riots in many ways, or civil war using justification to regime change the leader. Look at what they tried to do in Syria. Look at what they did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. This is the same script over and over and over and over and over again. And there's a reason it happened in 2016. And there's a reason it's happening now in 2020. It's because they have an election to win. Even Shaun King is starting to realize it. He said this is happening in Democrat cities. And they're telling us to vote Democrat. Thank you, Shaun King. We don't agree on very much, but we agree on this. This is why they care. They're trying to funnel you back to their party. Where did most of the COVID-19 deaths happen, guys? New Jersey and New York. Who runs those? Democrats. Where did the Minneapolis situation happen with George Floyd, rest his soul? In Minneapolis. Who's the mayor? Who's the attorney general? Who runs that state? It's all Democrats. Where are the riots and the protests getting out of hand happening? In Democrat cities. And you're going to blame Republicans and Trump and it's like ridiculous. So the point I'm trying to get across, and this is why there's so many spiritual and mindset people in all communities that are really coming to the forefront on social media, because mindset can change your life. And a good mind and a smart strategy is what will get you out of bad situations a lot quicker than always making excuses, doing the wrong thing, and then playing the victim for social media clout. And it's like the new normal. And if you say something about it, you're a terrible person. I want to help the kids. I want to help people. I want to raise up communities that are doing worse, but that's not going to happen with the same people causing the problems, convincing you to vote for them every 4 years, and both parties are corrupt, and neither party is really going to change your life. That's why we have to change ourselves. It starts with us, and then if we want to identify in certain groups, we have to help our own group. But the thing is, you could go out and protest and blame certain groups, no matter if it's white, black, Republican, Democrat. You could blame them, but at the end of the day, when you go home with your signs and you really look at what's going on in the world, you're going to figure out it's not a utopia if you get all your politics or all the ethnicities that you think are not doing anything wrong, and you get them all together, and there's nobody else to bother you, and you change the system, then you're going to realize it's not going to be a utopia, because the police make mistakes, the teachers make mistakes, people at Taco Bell make mistakes, I make mistakes, you make mistakes, nobody's perfect, and certain communities are not thriving right now, even if they were left alone with no police. It's just a fact. So you have to realize that in order to really fix it. So we got to change ourselves. We got to change our people. We got to rise up from the ground up and stop looking at the corporations and the media and the politicians to save us. Because to be quite honest, they don't care. McDonald's, Nike, you think all of a sudden they really are going to fix the inner cities? I mean, give me a break, guys. They'll go over to another country and get cheap labor to sell you $150 sneakers. It's ridiculous. So, and overall, with systemic stuff, there is systemic stuff in the past, in the future, and I do want to change it, and it is real. But at a certain point, we become the system. The media, the entertainment for the last 20, 30 years, we're the system now. So what I'm saying is, when you're telling kids that this lifestyle is good, and you're brainwashing the youth into thinking that this is the right thing, you are the system now. It's just not 100 years ago. It's 10 years ago. It's 5 years ago. It's the system now. We are the system. So you can't just talk about old systems and create a new system that's just as bad, filling the minds of people with the wrong situation and the wrong ideas and the wrong mentality, and then playing the victim and saying, I'm not doing it. We have to be the system. We have to change the system. And if we're going to change the system, we need a better system, because if we change the system with the worst system, we're going to have to live the life of what happens when you do that. So we have to be smart. It's easy to tear something down. It's harder to build something. So let's change the world, but let's change it right, not change it wrong. Let me know your comments in the comment section. I appreciate you listening, and this is one of the realest outward talks that I've had, just straight off, no edits or anything. Appreciate you guys. Sign up to my free email list, stayintouchwithme.com. And if you don't do anything, please have a beautiful day. A lot of the hate, division, anger, negativity, yes, it's in the world as well, but a lot of it's coming from social media, and a lot of it is now conditioning. And if you really operate and you hang out with the right people in the right situations, you're going to find there's good people everywhere. And the silent majority is very real of good people. They like to put a microscope on bad things, whether it's ISIS, North Korea, the riots, and not show you all the good things happening. That's what they do. They're never going to stop until you disconnect and realize that. So understand, it's not just about this protest. It's not just about COVID-19. It's not just about Trump. It's not just about ISIS. They're never going to stop doing this until you realize what they're doing. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back with more videos soon.